and gentlemen, today we have with us Elijah McCoy.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you for joining us for this Q&A.
It's great to be here.
So Elijah, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I was born May 2nd, 1844 in Colchester, Ontario, which is in Canada. My parents, George and Mildred McCoy, were actually slaves who fled from Kentucky to Canada in the Underground Railroad.
That's interesting. And what about your father? What did he do for a living?
Actually, my father was enlisted in the British Army, and in doing so, he was awarded 160 acres of land, which we then moved back to the United States and actually settled in Detroit.
All right. And in 1868, you met your wife, Anne?
Yes, Anne Elizabeth Stewart. But unfortunately, she passed away 4 years later. But shortly after that, I was able to meet my second wife, Mary Eleanor Delaney.
It's nice to hear that you found another lucky lady. Now, during your teen years, you were an apprentice engineer in Scotland, correct?
Yes.
You then moved to Michigan to pursue a position in the field. Tell us all how that went and how it led to you to have a career as an entrepreneur.
Well, I moved back to Michigan to work for the Michigan Central Railroad. I worked as a fireman who's basically responsible for lubricating and fueling the engine parts of a train. Because of my history in engineering, I was able to diagnose and fix problems a lot faster than other firemen would. So because of the constant overheating and lubrication problems that steam engines would have, they'd have to make frequent stops along the route. So what I was able to do was develop a lubricant that required steam engines to not stop as frequently or not at all.
And this was the beginning of your inventions and patents, correct?
Yes, my first patent was actually issued to me in 1872 for the improvement of lubrication for steam engines. I went on to make further contributions to engineering and making steam engines run more efficiently by actually issuing 56 more patents.
Very interesting. And perhaps your last great achievement occurred in your later years with the opening of the Elijah McCoy Manufacturing Company?
Yes, you're correct. The Elijah McCoy Manufacturing Company opened in 1920. But after that, though, is where I started to slow down as an entrepreneur and kind of take it easy in life.
Well, your contributions to the railroad company is greatly appreciated, and we thank you for your time and insight.
Thank you.
Hey Ralph, it's nice for you to be here today. Could you tell me a little something about yourself?
Sure. I was born in Winstead, and my family was a Lebanese immigrant to US. Basically, I did my education from Emerson University. Then I moved to Princeton University. I had a dream to become a lawyer in my life, and to fulfill that dream, to achieve that goal, then I went to Harvard University, and I did my undergraduation over there, and then I did practice, and then I was an editor for the Harvard Law Society.
Okay, that's very interesting. So what was the worst time period of your life that you would say?
The worst period of my life was when I was working as a social activist for the defense of misuse of government power, and and I was also working against some of the companies like General Motors, because they were trying to hire the government officials, and they were trying to misuse the power of government. So at that time, it was not a good time for me.
Okay. So how did you enjoy your professional life?
As I told you that I had a dream to become a lawyer, and I achieved that goal. And then I was really happy that the people were supporting me, and I was working as a social activist, and I worked my best for the betterment of the government reform in the United States.
It's very interesting. One more question. What was the main goal you had when you were writing your book, Only the Super Rich Can Save Us, back in 2009?
Yeah. I wrote this book to invite more and more social activists, right, to bring reforms in the United States, because we have the concept of democracy in the United States, but still we need to further flourish this concept. So that's why my main goal to write this book was to let the people to know about the system and to contribute their due share in the development of the country and this society.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming on here, Ralph. We appreciate your insight and thank you for your time.
Well, Dr. Persipet, thank you for being here today. Let me ask some questions. What and where were you born?
I was born in Harlem, New York in 1942.
What were some of your earliest achievements?
Well, when I was 16, I was asked to participate in a summer program for a National Science Foundation. And while I was there, I found an equation for predicting cancer cell growth. And my mentor actually put it in his research paper and presented it at an international conference at Washington, D.C. That same year, I received a merit award from Mademoiselle magazine.
I hear you completed some important research while you were interning at Harlem Hospital. Can you tell us about that?
Right, I was at Harlem Hospital and I found out that nearly half of the African American patients were blind or visually impaired. And I found this was due to lack of eye care. Therefore, I established the idea of community ophthalmology, which looks at eye problems based on the community. So you look at how many people have the same problem and you figure out why that's such a problem in that area.
So your achievements did not end there. What else have you done?
Well, I finished my medical training at New York's University, and I was the first African American resident there. Also, after getting married and having children, I moved to Los Angeles. I became an African American woman surgeon at the UCLA Medical Center, and I was the first one to do so. I held the position of assistant professor of surgery and ophthalmology.
Great.
A year later, I co-founded the American Institute for the Prevention of Blindness, which works to protect and restore eyesight, regardless of race, age, gender, income level. I also created the laser phaco probe, which is a tool that removes cataracts from people's eyes. And once the cataract is removed, then the patient's lens can be removed and they can have a new one put in.
That is a lot of achievements. What are you doing now?
Well, in 1993, I retired from the UCL Medical Center. I was the first woman to be elected into their center's honorary medical staff. And so now I just continue to advocate telemedicine, and I dedicate my time to the prevention, treatment, and cure of blindness.
Oh, that's really great. Thank you for taking time to talk with us.
Thank you.
So much.